Hey everybody, today we're taking a look at Nightwing Compendium Book 1. This is A Night in Bludhaven. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent Casina, and it took me a while to read this thing, but by golly, I finally did. It was worth it. This is Compendium 1 of Nightwing, or Nightwing, A Night in Bludhaven, Compendium 1. The second one comes out this month, so it's probably a pretty timely review if you're looking to pick that one up, if you need a little refresher on what happens or what's contained in this one. There's a lot in here. It's a big, thick book. It's got page numbers. I think I did an overview of it on the channel a long time ago. Some of them have page numbers, but there's quite a lot in here. It's got the little original Nightwing miniseries drawn by Greg Land, where Nightwing is rocking the 90s costume with the yellow for a little bit, and then eventually he does get the classic blue, and then he has his first solo series with Scott McDaniel, who's the main artist on this big compendium, and he finally cuts his hair, thank God, and then goes from there. It's really interesting to read this book. Most of it is written by Chuck Dixon. I think, Denny O'Neil does the first 4-issue miniseries, and then Chuck Dixon writes everything else. And I didn't forget. I knew Chuck Dixon was a good writer, but he tells some really good stories. And I gotta say, a lot of the way he was telling stories back here in the late 90s, there's a lot of interconnectedness from issue to issue, but each issue is kind of its own one and done. It's not the Brian Michael Bendis cliffhanger at the end of an issue, deconstructed storytelling of the 2000s, and today, this is, I'm going to tell a complete story, and it's going to lead into the next story, and lead into the next story, and each issue is its own thing. And I really, really like that about this book. I feel like more writers could learn how to do that. Honestly, I think comics would be stronger for it. The only things that are really multi-part storylines are like the crossovers. There's a mini-series in here, Nightwing and Huntress, that's 4 issues. That's one whole storyline. And that is a little broken up with a little bit of a cliffhanger every issue, but not a huge thing. Like, there's definitely clues that lead you to the next big revelation, and I think that's kind of the structure of that miniseries. There's also a crossover in here with Detective Comics and Green Arrow, Connor Hawke at the time. He's in here towards the end of the book. You got Doug Braithwaite on pencils. Again, that was a Chuck Dixon title. Like, Chuck Dixon was writing Detective Comics, Nightwing, Robin, and Green Arrow at the time. I don't know if he was writing Batman. I don't think he was. But he was all over the DC universe, that's for sure. So the writing in here is really, really good. I really enjoyed it. The artwork in here is also, I think, great. Scott McDaniel is the main artist on here. So, if you don't like Scott McDaniel, there might be something wrong with you, but I think he goes hand in hand with artists like John Romita Jr., especially his style now. There's some people who love him and some people who hate him. They don't like the easygoing lines and cartooniness of him. But Scott McDaniel is very, very expressive and very loose. And it's kind of interesting to see how he starts out here in Nightwing number 1. He's kind of finding his style. And then by the end of like the first 12 issues, he's firmly the Scott McDaniel we all know and love. And then to go and read like Judd Winnick's run on Green Arrow years later, McDaniel joins him for the 1 year later storyline through the end of that series. He's even more expressive and a little bit looser on that as well. But his panel layouts are just a whole lot of fun. He does all sorts of crazy panel layouts, and he's using like this. He loves this fisheye angle a lot, looking down at heroes using a fisheye angle, and getting rounded roof lines and things like that because you're in a fisheye, so you can get the whole image in. He loves circular panels and things like that. So it's really, really fun to read his stuff. At the same time, you also have somebody like Greg Land, who is probably just starting out back in these days, and seeing how Greg Land used to actually fucking draw. He does the first 4-issue miniseries in here, and he's very un-Greg Land-like if you follow his stuff today. Today, his stuff is a lot of light boxes, a lot of reference, I think, or maybe it's computer right now, I don't know. But when he was actually drawing, he was amazing. His stuff in the first 4 issues here isn't that great with the Nightwing miniseries. It's fine. But when he gets to the The Nightwing and Huntress miniseries, there's 4 issues in here. It's towards the middle of the book right here. He has Bill Sienkiewicz on inks. His stuff here is really, really awesome to look at. Like, just these panels are beautiful. And it also, you know, Bill Sienkiewicz is adding a little bit to it. He's a great artist in his own right, but he is kind of sticking to Greg Land's style from what I remember him being like in the early 2000s, you know, late 90s. So Greg Land, Scott McDaniel stays on the book of Nightwing a little bit longer, and I think Greg Land comes on as the main penciler. Maybe in the second volume he becomes the main artist, so we will see more of Greg Land on Nightwing. So it's kind of interesting to see him like kind of launch the character in this miniseries and then step away and then come back for another miniseries, only for him to really take the reins in future issues. I thought that was interesting. What's in here? Well, there's a bunch of fun storylines. You get to find out how Nightwing decides to move to Bludhaven kind of in the first issue, and he goes up against Blockbuster in like the first, I gotta say 10 or 12 issues. That's in here. And you think he defeats him. There's some guy who gets his head turned around by Blockbuster. That's really weird and fun. You have Batman showing up in here, checking on Nightwing. You have Robin coming in here and checking on Nightwing. You have the whole thing with the Huntress. Towards the end of the book, you have the events of Cataclysm, where there's a huge earthquake in Gotham, and Nightwing goes and rushes to help them, and then he goes back to Bludhaven towards the end of the book and is dealing with, you know, how that earthquake affected Bludhaven. And then the book ends with the DC 1 million crossover with Nightwing 1 million and Detective Comics 1 million here, with future Batman showing up and causing all kinds of havoc. And then that's kind of where the book ends. So I don't think Compendium 2 is not going to pick up with the 1 million storyline. It'll probably be something completely different, but you know, it's just a fun little inclusion in here. And there's this really feels like every Nightwing appearance during that time, honestly. At least, you know, that wasn't part of a team book. Like, there's no issues of Titans or anything in here, but if he appeared in Batman, those issues are in here. Like, there's some Detective Comics issues in here that are in the Prelude to No Man's Land trades over my right shoulder here, and they don't really have to do with Nightwing a whole lot. Like the first issue of this two-parter, Nightwing appears, but it's about other things going on in Gotham, and then in the second issue, that's really where Nightwing turns up a notch. Like, it's more about Nightwing and Batman, so it's like, I get why you included the first issue. Did you have to include both of them? I don't really think so. But I get why the first one was in here, because you really wanted to include the second one, which is kind of a retrospective of Nightwing and Batman, you know, working together back in the day and how they're still working together really well now and working on their communication skills and things like that. So overall, I think this compendium is a whole lot of fun. I'm looking forward to picking up the second one here in the next couple of weeks. I don't know if I'll get it right away. I might pick it up towards the middle or later in the summer. But, man, this is some great, great stuff. So if you've been looking at this, wondering if it's a good read or not like that, definitely go check them out. They're also all available in, like, some older trades that are 12 issues a piece. I think there was 8 of them. So I think this is the first 3 of those. So if we're doing at least the Chuck Dixon stuff, we're definitely getting 3 compendiums. Hopefully they go further. I would love to see them do that. But it's fun. It's also a lot of fun to have read this after reading the Robin compendium, because there is some stuff like Robin later on in the book is referencing that he knows Huntress's real name, and all that stuff comes from like their early Robin miniseries. I think it's Robin 3 where Huntress appears in that one. So that's fun. That's also Chuck Dixon stuff. So it's Chuck Dixon drawing lines across years, across comics inside of these 2 compendiums. So whole lot of fun. So I recommend this. It is $60, but it's like over 1,100 pages. So definitely check it out. It's well worth your time, well worth your money. And if you can get it at a discount, even better, honestly. Some great stuff in here. Definitely check out Nightwing Compendium 1. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys thought of this Nightwing run in the 90s down below in the comments. We'll see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.